Yo, what's good, boys? We are back at it again with another MLB The Show 25 video for you guys, and today we are going to be updating our pitchers tier list for you guys. So we got relief pitchers, starting pitchers that will hopefully win you more weekend classic games. Hopefully you guys are having a good fourth weekend, and it should be a great time to play some weekend classics. So without further ado, we'll hop into it. If you enjoy the content, like, subscribe, all that. So we're starting with relievers. I'm going in reverse overall order. Brendan Little, A tier, really good gimmick. You almost have to be on like a higher difficulty where, like, you know, his per nines being kind of bad don't really matter. And you're just throwing that blitz ball cutter. Like, it's kind of a gimmick. I think he has a sinker to work off of it if I remember right. But he's just a one pitch guy for the most part. But it's a pretty good gimmick, and it's a pretty affordable card, being a live series silver. So Raleigh Fingers, pretty dated at this point. I think he's B tier. Like, you can still put him out there, you can still get you some outs, but I think he's going to struggle with the meta being all switch hitters and strong lefties. Not really putting him in a position to thrive there. Brash, a lot of these older cards are just kind of like budget relievers at this point. Gossage, probably C tier. Weird pinpoint, so I think that hurts him a little bit if you are a pinpoint guy. He's kind of tough to control after you give up a base runner. Same goes for Gregory Soto. In theory, pretty good card. Pinpoints all over the place, so kind of hard to put them super high. I still think John Franco's cool. Like, maybe you want to argue for A tier. He's pretty volatile. It's just a matter of how many times you can throw the screwball without getting punished with him. It's almost like a free strike pitch. So he's okay. Kopech, A tier. Like, he's almost like the righty Brendan Little, except his gimmick's just way better and it works on better players. Like Kopech, you can always make somebody misread outlier four seam or a cutter. You can do that at All-Star. You can do it on Legend against top 50 players. So, I mean, he's one of the more valuable bullpen arms right now. And then you got Dibble, who does a lot of the same stuff, but it's just way more expensive. So, for most people, I think Kopech's the way to go. Chapman, still pretty solid. Still one of my favorite lefties. We just got so many strong ones now that kind of pushes him out. Then we got Luke Weaver. I think he's in like that A tier. Like, if he's in your bullpen, it's not terrible. Ottavino, same thing. Not terrible, not great. I think no changeup on him. He does have a cutter. He does have a sinker. No circle change. So that's a little tough for him. Ursag, I would put B tier at this point. Not one of the outlier guys I would want. If you still have him and you have parallels on him, cool. But not one of the outlier guys I would want. Loaizaga, I view as very similar to Ottavino. Brian Abreu, somebody had to go F tier. Ben Joyce, I think his B tier. I don't like this pitch mix. I've been painted by him, but when he can't locate, he is terrible. So I'm between B and like low A. Either way, it's whatever. But I do not think he's that hard to hit. Doval, B tier. More of like a legend guy for the most part. But just even now, like the new Class A, who we'll get to eventually, just does what he does better at a higher level. So Andres Munoz, I think B tier, like another guy where you'll see these like sinker outlier four seam guys I don't think are super hard to hit, and I'd rather just have guys with just better stuff at this point, guys with like cutters or guys with like highly effective pitch tunnels, more so than just relying on outlier and them being early on the sinker. It can be a good tool, but I mean, I had a ranked game on Legend on a bad server recently where I couldn't hit anybody for the whole game, and my opponent puts in Ben Joyce, and I put up 8 runs in 1 inning. So I don't see the value at a high rank, maybe at a lower rank on like All-Star or like early Hall of Fame when you play people that might just can't touch outlier. These guys are really good. So maybe for you personally, they're A or even S, but I think when you take into account like every difficulty, they're just not that good. Another card that falls in just not that good. Eckersley, the way for him to be good was the day or no day blueprint. He needed to be able to paint all of his pitches, and he really can't. It seems like every pitch that's not a slow cutter, you just can't really locate. Like, nobody is Danny. Like, it's like Danny and day or no day and Hobie Milner a little bit at the start of the year. They almost have to throw their pitch so slow that it's almost not even a good pitch to get the small enough bars. Eckersley just throws too hard, and I think it's that simple. Gagne, B tier. I want to put him lower than that, but I think his per nines just justify him being in B tier. But I'm not a fan of the mix. I don't think he's that hard to hit. I will say his outlier is pretty strong. Like, it's a strong outlier. Like, he throws 102 most of the time. I think Dennis Santana's terrible for having 5-pitch mix. I'd rather have all of these guys over him. Even like Weaver, who definitively has a worse mix, I just think his speeds are better. Like, Santana throws a really slow, loopy slider and then just doesn't have speed differentials like you'd like to see. Just Santana's a guy I love to see come in the game. O'Day, I think A tier. Like, he still can be good. You have to be a meta rat, for lack of a better term. Like, you have to bring him in on Hall of Fame against a righty, or like legend against a switch hitter, and just spam circle changes to the switch hitters and just spam away sliders to the righties and just paint. And that's how he's good. That's how you use Aaron O'Day. You don't try to do anything special. You don't try to blow him away with high and in four seams or anything. You just abuse what is strong in the game. And so he can be good if you do that. But you also get predictable if you go too far down that path. Hoffman, I don't view as too much different from like Raleigh. I think just because his per nines are high, I'll give him B tier. I think just mix wise and just his stuff is probably more so C tier, but his per nines are really good. So I'll bump him up. Danny, first S tier reliever. S tier is like, I think they should be in everybody's bullpen. Danny's probably the best relief pitcher in the game. One of the better relief pitching lefties I think we've ever seen. If he had like a circle change instead of one of his 2 curveballs, he would be completely dominant. And I don't even know if it would be debatable, to be honest. Chavez kind of does what Aaron O'Day does. He's almost like a free Aaron O'Day, except he has a cutter, which is valuable. He just has no speed differentials. So like on Legend, I think he could honestly be S or like high A. I think for most people, he's going to be B tier, so I'm going to put him B tier. Rizal, same stuff. Rizal cards are always like weird to hit for me. He never feels dominant. He just feels janky and weird to hit. Like, his mix isn't necessarily great, but he's just always a guy that I don't personally hit that well. Randy Rodriguez, just not a lot going on there. Just, you know, you're just tucking inside sinkers with the slider. Like, it's pretty default pitch mix. There's a lot of guys you can get with pretty much this exact same mix. I think Luke Weaver's pretty comparable to him. I'd rather have Luke Weaver. I think Ottavino's pretty comparable. Rather have Ottavino. And same for Loizaga. There's Loizaga. Okay. Sir Anthony, top of B. This is like a better mixed Sir Anthony than we've ever seen. But even last year with the captain, I just think his delivery does him no service. Like, his delivery is the most Joe Random, put it on a plate for the hitter delivery in the game. Like, it is not hard to see the ball at all out of his hand. I think his mix is cool. It doesn't have great speed differentials. If you want to sit here and argue that maybe he's like bottom of A tier, cool, I'll give it to you. But I think just for me, he's just never been a card that I've struggled to hit. Unlike Matt Strahm, who every single card he gets is insane, and they gave this one a circle change, whereas the gold did not have a circle change. Like I was saying, even the gold at the start of the year was one of the like most miserable relievers for me to try hit. So you give him a circle change, which lets him pitch to righties halfway effectively. He's just nasty. He's nasty. Helsley, terrible. Objectively, he's probably like C tier, because like you can get away with throwing curveballs this year, especially on like higher difficulties. If you mix them in well enough, sometimes they just get enough giddy up to where you get a little jammed on them and they just go nowhere. So I see some value in him. Is he worth 120K? No, you should be selling him. For 120K, he should be out of the lineup. Bummer, he's cool. He's not with these other lefties. He's not touching these other guys. He's okay. You're pretty much just spamming like sinker cutter most of the time. So it's not the Easter bummer. That's all you need to know. Devin Williams, do I want to give him S tier? No. So I think he's on low difficulties. I think he's relatively hittable. What makes him good is the fact that you can bring him in on like legend and just throw a couple screwballs, and your opponent is just going to struggle to find the timing. Like, a screwball is a pitch that takes multiple times of kind of swinging at to kind of find your timing and how quickly you need to swing. And then he's got 3 other pretty good pitches to work off of it. So he's good. I think his true value is on Legend. I think on lower difficulties where you don't have to be as exact on the screwball, he gets a lot more hittable. Felix S tier. The best righty in the game. Absolute dog. Enough said. I mean, he just does what Class A does. Way better than Class A does. So, I mean, he's just nasty. Robleski, top of B tier. I don't think he, as a pitcher, is crazy. The value he brings is in the fact that he's a long reliever with like 80 stamina. So you can just bring him in to eat some innings, and he can give you like 5 strong innings out of the bullpen. No problem. Class A. He's cool. Probably A tier. Like, he's a strike stealing machine. Like, you're just throwing inside cutters away, backdoors. Inside cutters, yeah, for chase pitches, but you're throwing inside sinkers to steal strikes to get people taking. You're throwing backdoor cutters to get people taking, and then if they really over aggress on the cutter and are super ready for it, you have that slider that you can kind of tunnel with it. So definitely not a bad card. He's not anything crazy. I'd way rather probably have him have either outlier four seam with a slower cutter, but they'll never give that to Class A, or just a different mix in general. But give him a sinker is nice. It makes him more usable than he has been in recent memory. Miller S tier pretty easily. They gave him his circle change. That's really what he needed. So now he can pitch to righties. And then he still has the Andrew Miller mix that you can really just destroy lefties with, and the funky arm slot. So he's still really good. Adrian Morejon, really good as well. Absolute dog, has outlier sinker. He's like a relief pitcher, Dustin May for the most part. He's a monster. So he's really good. I think these 4 lefties are S tier, and I think I kind of mentioned on stream that there's a world where you just run 4 lefties in your bullpen. You know, like, for the most part, the way the game works right now is just a lot of switch hitters, a lot of strong lefties. So I feel like there's nothing wrong with having 4 lefties in your bullpen if you're comfortable to pitching with righties with all of them. And I feel like for the most part, with these 4, you are. Probably not Andrew Miller. I probably wouldn't let him see a ton of righties. But these 4, or at least these 3, really good. And that concludes our relief pitchers. So we're 12 minutes in. We got relievers done. Let's get to our starters. John Don, I mean, come on, S tier, easy. Getting a little dated. The hits are getting pretty rough. You're starting to throw a lot of like inside sliders with him, and people are actually able to hit it pretty hard because their PCI is that big. But he's still really good, and he's still, you know, you can destroy a veteran player with him because the speed differentials are crazy, and you can destroy a legend pit player with him. You can no-hit 1,000 players with him because he's just that hard to square up. Dustin May, I'm not gonna put him S tier anymore. I think he's A tier. Let's do starters at the front for the rest of the list. Dustin May, still really good. I can't believe anybody ever says he's BP. Maybe on lower difficulties, higher difficulties. I just don't see it. DeGrom, C tier. If you're still using him, he's pretty dated. You're just using him to work the outlier four seam, and you can work it pretty well. And if you're still using this card, you probably have him super fractured. But you're just on that hard slider with the four seam. It's only going to take you so far. Randy, this is one I'm struggling with. I'm going to give him S tier still, but it's not strong. It's not a strong S tier by any means. I think John is 100% better than him. Per nines aren't crazy, so that's not doing him any favors. But it's just some combination of people are just super used to seeing him, and he's kind of dated and not that crazy. Is really hurting him. I think you could make an argument for A tier, but it's like, do you have 4 other starters you would rather start than Randy? Probably not. Next up, Zim. Haven't seen this card in actually a month. It's been a while. I think he can still give you good innings on the Hall of Fame, and good innings on Legend, but I think there's just way better options at this point, and that's why you don't see him anymore. Plain and simple. Still a really good like control pitcher. Pearson, I'm gonna give S tier. It's not like a strong S tier. I think for the most part, if you are running Pearson, then you're replacing Randy with him. So I think, you know, he makes the best 5 in the game, but you kind of have to choose between one of those 2. Jared Jones, close to Zimmerman. He can give you good outings. Lighter, I like significantly less. Like, Jared Jones is crazy. to not have outlier, I've not seen a guy with no outlier throw as hard as Jared Jones does as consistently as he does. Like, it's him and there was somebody recently I faced, Dustin May. Like, if you got Superfractor Dustin May, he tops out on the four seam at 101 like every pitch. I think he's okay. Nando on Legend, S tier. S tier might even be pushing it. It's close. On every other difficulty, he's terrible. So I'm gonna put him D tier because every other difficulty he's awful. Would not even use him on Hall of Fame. You have to be on Legend for him. His true calling was GOAT because that 10-mile-an-hour gap between like the circle change and the screwball was like 50. So that was his true calling, and it's gone now. So a little unfortunate for him. Sonny Gray, hard to hit. Like, you're throwing that sinker cutter with a weird like shot put release, but after your opponent picks up on the arm angle, he's just BP. Sandy, just working outlier sinkers over and over again. I think Dustin May is kind of the apex of that pitcher type because you have the cutter to work off of. But Sandy can do a job also, especially if you're super low rated or just on a budget. Quinn Priester, same thing, just another sinker ball righty. Does not have a normal four seam. So some people will enjoy that, some people won't. I would rather have the normal four seam. Same for Rasmussen, like you're just on sinker cutter. Like, it's kind of the floor for a pitcher like this is B tier because you're going to get enough weak contact swings. But they just don't have good like tertiary pitches, or they don't have outlier. They don't have anything that like sets them apart. Morton, same thing. Honestly, I think he might be worse than all of these because of speed differentials, but he's a splitter pitcher, which is something different. I don't think I've ranked any splitter pitchers off the top of my head, or at least not starters, other than Randy. So he gives you a different look. Jim Cat, straight gimmick. So he'll be weird for a couple innings. If you enjoyed like Oral Hershiser, or not Oral, it was Sutton, right? If you enjoyed Sutton, if you enjoyed Nando on lower difficulties somehow, that's probably a card for you. Pedro's like A tier, has a really good speed differential between the circle change and the four seam, but the circle change just doesn't really look like the four seam. His cutter's pretty slow. His slider's also pretty slow, so they almost intersect and it's almost the same pitch. So he's okay. Like, he's okay. He'll get you some strikeouts just because of speed differentials. Nolan, never a fan of. You're just throwing the outlier four seam and the sinker a lot and hoping to get ground balls, honestly, more than strikeouts. So not my favorite there. Mizorowski, I think pretty overrated. He's either top of B tier or A tier. I think if he had a sinker, we would be talking. I think he'd be like a strong A tier, potentially even S tier, but just without that pitch, not a fan. Screwball,